Hi friends, it's Laura. Welcome back. I hope you are doing amazing. Today is going to be a really chill, cozy plant chore video. I have some repotting, some watering to do. I am just taking it really easy today, having a really relaxed day, which I kind of need right now. So if that sounds good to you, maybe you have some plant chores to do as well, or maybe you're just enjoying a coffee. I hope you stay tuned and let's get some plant chores done. I'm gonna start with some repotting. I have a new plant pot as well as another plant pot that has been empty for a while. And I have a couple plants that are root mound that need to be up potted. So I'm gonna start assembling what I need. I hope you guys are all doing well. It is November, which is usually like snow season here, but we don't really have snow yet. We sometimes have a light dusting in the mornings, but nothing serious, which I do love snow, but I am missing having that wintry vibe that normally we have in November. This is the new plant pot. It matches my old alien plant pot. Obviously it's really small. So I have my Hoya croniana cuttings that I've been rooting for a little while. And they are now ready to be up potted. Although I also have these. I have a few choices for that plant pot since it's so small. And yesterday I noticed that my Hoya wyetii, I believe, has mealybugs. So I did a really good clean of the leaves, although now I think there might be more. And as I was doing it, I noticed that it is a little bit root bound. So I think I'm gonna up pot this today. It has been growing a lot, so probably needs a little bit more space. And I probably will do another clean with alcohol after I've repotted it. But I should probably go wash my hands now that I've been touching it so that I don't transfer that to my other little babies. Put this balsam candle here for some cozy vibes. It smells like a Christmas tree. It's great. So I have two choices for the alien pot. I have my Hoya croniana, which used to be bigger, and then I had to cut it because I still don't really know what was going on, but the new growth was fine, but the old growth was all shriveled. So I decided to just cut off all the nice new growth and then root that up. And it's been doing well, but there are some roots coming out the bottom, and as you can see, it's like a really tiny pot. I love it in this pot though. My son made this pot and it just looks, I feel like the black looks nice with the silver. And then I have my rickrack cactus, which is more in need of a up pot. So I guess I'm gonna do that one. I love this pot too. I think I'm gonna do this one. It's more in need of it. And I feel like the rickrack cactus and the alien vibes are a good match for now. I also have this mushroom pot, which I also made. And for some reason I was thinking the Hoya wyetii could go in here, but that would be the same size as what it's in right now. So we're not gonna do that. If I find another plant while I'm watering that needs up potting, I could maybe put it in there. Since the move, I have been watering my plants very regularly. However, I find that, and I knew this when we moved here, I find that it is so much drier here. And the climate is drier. This is a drier area than where we were before. It's also a colder area, which means we're running the heat a little bit more. I haven't had a fire in the fireplace yet. I'm a little bit worried about how dry it will get in here if I do that, but I do have Molly's succulent mix. However, I find jungle cactus, rickrack cactus is it is a succulent, but it needs more moisture. So I think the herbicide mix will actually be a better match for this plant. And I got this cutting from a student actually. I used to have quite a large rickrack cactus and then I killed it somehow. And my student was also quite into plants, and she brought me a cutting, which was really sweet. Oh, I definitely pulled off a bunch of roots, but I think it'll be okay. This guy is ready to grow. I hope I see a lot more growth now that I'm up putting it. I thought I had a little scooper in here, but this works. It is very satisfying making my own plant pots, I must say. I love doing all kinds of pottery, and I make mugs and bowls and plates and all that, and those are really fun too, but plant pots, because I know that they will just live in my collection and always be on display, are very satisfying to make and then pot my plants into. Okay, this is adorable. I kind of like it going off to the side like that. Is it better centered? Kind of looks like antenna. Okay, this is a good combination. All right, I mentioned that the Waiitii had mealybugs. I didn't mention, but my compacta, I believe, also had mealybugs. And I'm saying that just because it had this like white fluffy stuff in the crevices. I basically doused this with rubbing alcohol, and I hope that that helps. I hope they don't come back. I am going to mist both of these plants right now with alcohol again. I don't even know where the mealybugs came from. I have bought a few plants recently, but not a lot. And when I bought them, they didn't have mealybugs. Like, you can see the mealybugs. I don't know where they came from. All right, so this is just water, and I'm adding isopropyl alcohol to it. That is the way to get rid of mealybugs. And you can go in with Q-tips and everything, but I'm hoping that if I just spray it everywhere, it will get to the bugs and have the same effect. And I really hope that this just gets rid of them. I don't want them to spread. That's my huge concern right now. I haven't really had to deal with mealybugs. I think once or twice I had them, and alcohol got rid of them. I want like a mist. Mist. There we go. Oh yeah. I don't really know how you can get into all of the little crevices of Hoya compacta. I feel like that's maybe not realistic. Unless you literally like dunked it in a bowl of alcohol, but I don't know. That seems like it might be bad for the plant. If I put a lot on it, it'll just kind of flow into the crevices, is my thinking anyway. Better move the candle. Okay, I'm gonna let these dry. And I'm gonna leave my spray bottle out because as I go through and water, I might find more mealybugs. Like I said, I don't know how I got mealybugs in here. Maybe they were just in the house when I moved in or something. But I'm gonna move on to watering, and then I'll come back and repot the Waiitii once the leaves have kind of dried off. Actually, you should rinse the leaves. You should do alcohol and then rinse. So I'll let it just sit for a couple minutes, do some watering, give it a rinse. The compacta does not need to be repotted anytime soon. Today I'm feeding my plants with fouillage, organic liquid plant food. I use this kind of on and off. This has kelp in it, which I love using seaweed on my plants. I find they really enjoy it. And because it's gentle and all natural, you don't really have to worry about putting too much in. My Aglaonema is doing well. It looks a little bit thirsty right now. Philodendron micans is also doing well. Let's talk about my alocasia here. I had this in my plant cabinet and I think it was getting sunburnt. So when I moved, I decided it's gonna live outside the cabinet, and I think now it's just sort of adjusting to getting way less humidity. But it does have a bunch of growth points. These 2 leaves recently popped out and they are looking good. I really love all of my alocasia. Even though they're dramatic, I find they're dramatic, but then they come back. So I love alocasia, I always will. Philodendron tortum, I think might be dead. I don't know, it dropped a bunch of leaves. This leaf is super floppy. I don't know, I bought it, or no, I didn't buy it. My husband bought it for me as a really, really juvenile plant. Like it was like this big. It grew a whole bunch and now is just, I don't know. I feel like maybe it wasn't really well established to start. Look at this leaf. It is not even close to being full size. It's still super floppy, but it's stunning. I was a little bit worried. I know nothing about anthuriums. I'm learning as I go, but I really thought I had to keep anthuriums in a cabinet, and it was getting bleached by the light as well, kind of like the alocasia. So I took it out. It did not like that, but now it's kind of adjusting and this leaf looks amazing. So I think it's gonna be okay outside of the cabinet, which is a relief because it is really big for the cabinet and it was getting burnt. So I'm really happy about this little guy. My Thanksgiving cactus is still blooming, and thank you. A few of you corrected me in my houseplant tour. I said this was a Christmas cactus. The one in the back, like back here, is a Christmas cactus. This is definitely a Thanksgiving cactus, which is why it's blooming in November. This little pot doesn't have a drainage hole, so I have to be so careful when I water. I water less than I think it needs, and it seems happy. I feel like these plants, this is a peperomia, these plants just hold so much water anyway that they're good to go. And this pot is where the compacta was, so it'll go back there. It's not totally isolated, but it's not touching any other plants, so I think it's okay as per the mealy bug situation. Here's my dog bed. This is pretty exciting. I'm propagating my lipstick plant and the propagation has a bloom, which is so cool. There's another one right here. The actual plant that I cut the propagation off of does not have any blooms. So I wonder if the blooms had already started to develop before I cut it. I don't know. This is another pot I recently made. It does not have a drainage hole, so I don't know. For now, I just have this in here like that, which is maybe not the most visually stunning combination, but it works. My Labesia, here, I'll bring it in closer. My Labesia dino skin is not looking well. I had it on a bottom shelf where it wasn't getting very much light, but these guys do like low light. Anyways, I moved it up here. It's just not doing well. I don't know. It's not overwatered, it's not underwatered. It might just be dying. I really hope not. My jewel orchid here, I decided to also move it into a higher light spot. I was talking about how it never grows, so I moved it up here. It's a little bit closer to the grow light, and we'll see what happens. And these guys are all doing really well. I put up these Mossify grow lights a few weeks ago, and I think it's a really good setup. They're getting enough light, but they're also have room to grow, and the light is coming from above. Whereas before, the light was kind of coming from the side, so then they were facing outside, which I didn't really like. Jose Bono is working on a huge new leaf. I really want to like untuck it from the leaf, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna leave it. This is the lipstick plant that I took the propagations from. No blooms that I see, but they might still be coming. This one didn't bloom at all last year. I don't know what's going on. I am just gonna mist that leaf a little bit with water, because it's really stuck in there. Do I pick at it? Oh, I think I should. I think if I get it out, it'll be so much happier. My philodendron plowmanii, the last leaf that came out, kind of cracked because it was so dry. Is this even, yeah, this is misting. Okay. Here we go. You should never do this, but I do it sometimes. When it's like almost out, I do it. And always make sure it's nice and wet. Okay, there we go. There we go. I feel better now. See, this looks really delicate here, like it was about to crack. So I think that was a good call. I recently put my Dark Lord onto this coir pole, and I think it looks a lot better. It was on sort of a skewer thing, which was fine when it was smaller, but it is growing really quickly now that I don't chop it every few months. So I'm hoping I can get it to be really, really big and beautiful. The leaves haven't really upsized. Like when I got this plant, the leaves were quite big. But hopefully as it matures, that will happen. My plants in the cabinet do not need to be watered today. I just watered my begonias yesterday. My begonia propagations are all doing well. There is no new growth yet. I will for sure show you guys when there is. Same with my Hoya propagations. They're doing fine. You can tell that they're not rotting or anything, but I doubt that they have roots just yet. And I did rearrange this side. I used to have my Alocasia Black Velvet in there. It was getting, I'll show you when I get to it, but it was getting like these spots, like I think it was burning from the light. So I have my Painted Lady in there. I hope she doesn't burn. I'm gonna watch her like a hawk. And then my Cuprea always lives in here. And then some Hoyas, which some of those were in here, some of them I moved them in here. My Hoya Carrii I moved in here because it hasn't done anything since I got it, but that is just the life of a Carrii. My Painted Lady actually probably could be watered. She's looking a little bit dry. I don't usually keep philodendrons in here, but I don't know. I have the space and she does love a lot of light. That's what I find with this cabinet. For humidity, no problem. But the lights are really bright. So Hoyas are fine in here, but a lot of other plants just burn. So it's always a balance of putting plants in here that can take the large amount of light. And the ones that can take it, they love it. Like begonias, Hoyas, they are happy in here, but a lot of philodendrons and alocasia don't like it. All right, so over here is my Philodendron domesticum. Oh, and you can see we have a little bit of snow out there. Not a lot. My Philodendron domesticum, I have talked about before. I am really, really interested. Oh, can I see? Yes. I'm really interested to see if this leaf will have variegation. The variegation develops slowly, like you can't tell as soon as the leaf opens up. Because if it does not have variegation, I'm gonna chop probably right here, because I do not want this plant to revert. But we gotta wait, we gotta be patient. Okay, onto my Alocasia Black Velvet. I will show you what I mean by the, let's call them sunspots. See that? And that did show up before. And then the new leaves have all been really small, and they don't have the spots, but they're not as dark as Black Velvet should be. Alocasia Black Velvet should be black. This is dark green, and in some areas kind of almost like medium green. So I think this was just getting way too much light. I'm also happy to have this plant out of the cabinet. Oh, I got water here. Because I made this pot, and I'm really proud of it. I think it's so cute. In the cabinet, you couldn't really see it. It was at the back of the cabinet, and there was other plants in front of it. So I kind of like having it out here because I can enjoy it more. Now this is my Philodendron domesticum cutting. It hasn't done a lot recently. And actually the last leaf that opened up is like not looking good. I wonder if this is root bound. No, oops. It's hard to film and water at the same time. There we go. And my ring of fire is doing well, tiny but good. This guy probably doesn't need water. Here's the other alien plant pot. Ooh. And this Haworthia is blooming. So pretty. And my terrarium, I recently cut up most of the plants in here to propagate, so it's doing okay. I actually don't show this off very much. It's a lot more exciting when the plants are, you know, bigger. But look at this little tiny growth on the begonia stem. That's why I don't hesitate to cut my begonias, because they always grow back even better. And this leaf looks like it's not doing anything, but it is rooted to the soil, like it's stuck in there. So begonias just find a way. If they have enough humidity, they find a way. And I have some Fittonia in here. Little tiny Peperomia Frost. I love this little terrarium, but right now it just had a haircut. Let's return to these guys. I'm gonna put this guy, I guess I should give this guy a rinse. He's still kind of dripping. Alcohol definitely gets rid of the mealies, but it's really not good for your plant. So if you do use alcohol on your plants, just make sure you rinse them really, really thoroughly afterwards, or even dose them like in a bowl of water. So I'll put that guy back in his pot. He's not touching anyone else, so I feel like if I just keep an eye on him, he's okay here. See, this is the bottom shelf where I had those terrariums. I think it's a little bit too dark. I don't know, maybe not, but I just decided to move them. Who knows, I'll probably need the space eventually, but for now, it's just empty. Give this guy a good rinse. It's gonna be annoying to repot this while it's wet. All right, I'm repotting this Hoya Waiatii into this amazing pot. And it is glazed on the inside. I am trying really hard to only put Hoyas into pots that are either glazed on the inside or plastic, because that way the roots don't like attach themselves. I used to have all my Hoyas in terracotta, and then when I had to finally repot them, I damaged a lot of their roots, which they didn't like. I'm also trying to repot my Hoyas. Oh, my fingers are super dirty. I'm also trying to repot my Hoyas more often, trying to stay on top of that because it does really increase their growth a lot. And that is something that I did not really understand when I first started to have Hoyas. Somewhere I learned that you should, this was not root bound, it just had roots coming out the bottom. I think I'm gonna repot it anyway. I think it will be fine. And then I'll just make sure I don't overwater when I water. That's the issue with potting in too big of a pot too soon, is you can get root rot because, you know, the soil is kind of always wet, stays wet for a lot longer, but I'll just be careful. And this plant has been growing a lot, so I think it will be happy. The pot isn't huge anyway. Like I was saying, I used to always wait until, I would basically never repot my Hoyas. I would just always keep them in their pots. And then I learned somewhere else that that's actually the opposite of what you want to do. You want to keep up potting them so that they keep growing. They really enjoy that. So I don't know, that was false information that I got somewhere. And now I know the truth. Okay, this pot is really dirty now because the soil was so wet. And I used to have this plant inside my cabinet, but because of the whole mealybug situation, I'm going to find somewhere on one of the shelves where it's not touching anything, and it's gonna just have to live outside of the cabinet. I'm gonna go give it a rinse. Just gonna put her right here. She's got space. She's getting lots of sun. I'll move her if I have to. Also, I find that if a plant is really like front and center and I look at it a lot, I'm more on the pest prevention. So right now I see no mealies, and if I see some pop up, I can treat it right away. And I can also see if they are somehow attacking my other plants. I'm gonna put this guy, I'm gonna put this guy back in the cabinet. And my Hoya Croniana is just gonna stay in its little black pot. That's okay, it looks adorable in there anyway. And I have more plants to water. All right, so I have these plants up here and I can reach them. However, I like to stand up on a chair just so I can see what's going on in here. See if there's any new growth or any issues. These plants have been doing really well in here, especially the exotica. The exotica is putting out tons of new growth, which is amazing. They were getting a lot of light in our old house, I don't know, but they seem to love this spot even more. I really like having plants in the dining room. They're relaxing to look at while I'm having my dinner. Here are the doggies. They're by the game shelf. This is their other little bed. Good morning. Good morning. And you might think there's no dog right here. Hello. Hello. You might think there's no dog. This is just a blanket. Hello, doggies. This is our game shelf, and there is one singular plant up here, my philodendron jungle boogie, and it looks so eccentric with just those two leaves. I don't know what it's doing. This is like a cutting, not a cutting. This is a chunk that broke off so long ago when my plant shelf collapsed. That's like, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. And this chunk is just doing this. Oh, I'm dripping. There you go, buddy. Okay, and then the other plant in here is this Hoya. Do you like this statue? This Hoya up here. These plants, to be honest, I do not water as much as I should because I kind of forget about them. And then there's also a pothos in here. And then there's one more pothos here. This one's quite high. You can see that I'm dribbling over it. It's high up so that people don't run into it, but it is annoying to water. Okay, that's all you get today. Then I'll show you this little setup. This does not need water because I watered it the other day. This is basil that I am attempting to keep alive indoors. And these are cuttings of coleus from my mom's plant that I snipped and like they've taken off. I don't really know. I think I'm just gonna keep them until the spring so I can plant them outside, but they look pretty here and they're keeping the basil company. All right, friends, thanks for hanging out. I am done my plant chores. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye.